Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be doing a Trump versus Biden election if coronavirus never happened. And this is obviously going to favor Trump a lot because since the coronavirus has happened, schools are closed down, at least right now for me, for the beginning of the school year for us. Um, the economy is on a downturn. People are forced to stay at their houses. The hospitals were not overwhelmed, but it does not obviously over 100,000 deaths. Even though some people would say, okay, that's not a lot compared to how many people live in this country, it can definitely be used to hurt Trump. And I would say COVID has hurt Trump in his reelection chances. So this is basically if COVID never happened, how do I think Trump would have done? So let's get started. Biden, safe states. And I do think Trump would have done very well. I think he would have had a strong economy. He would have been going on as incumbent. The impeachment, nobody even remembers impeachment. I mean, look how quickly it goes. Geez, did we impeach Biden? Actually, not Illinois, or Trump. Like, it just goes so fast now. So you can't even think about anything. I mean, people don't like, Trump was impeached this year. It's so weird to think that happened this year because the political cycle goes by so quickly. Or at least he was acquitted this year. I guess he was impeached in 2019. Um, South Carolina safe, so I'm definitely having Trump do a lot better. All right, to be fair, I'll say. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Maybe me, not. All right, I'll be nice. Not nice. I don't know. Trump is obviously at an advantage now. Likely states for Joe Biden. We'll stay as Washington. I would just say because of, I don't think that the people in Washington are particularly happy with what happened with. I think this happened in. Actually, maybe this didn't happen in Washington, but the autonomous zone. Maybe Oregon. I'm not right. I think it was actually Oregon, but I think that'll impact Oregon. Still Washington. Definitely not as liberal as California and New York, but still a fairly democratic state. Still carry it by likely margin. Illinois, same thing. Barack Obama's home state. Obviously, now has an affiliation with Joe Biden, as well as New Jersey and Maine's first congressional district are all going to be likely states for Joe Biden. Now, likely states for Donald Trump are Iowa, Ohio, Maine's second congressional district, and I'm going to say Texas. Trump would have won Texas by 7 or 8 points. Now it's looking like 3 to 5 points. So obviously, it's going to do a lot better in Texas and in a lot of other states. Lean Democratic. I'm going to go with Oregon. I'll go with Connecticut, and I'm going to go with Virginia. And I could say New Mexico, but I'll say New Mexico with Lean Democratic. So giving Biden 201 electoral votes. Lean Democratic. So 201, 188. Trump lean states. Georgia, North Carolina, and Florida. I think Florida would be lean, but I think it has hurt, at least in the coronavirus, has had a significant impact in Florida when you look at it. Um, a lot of elderly people are dying in Florida. Um, I mean, you could argue that Ron DeSantis obviously did a better job than, or not obviously, but I'm not trying to be biased. But he did have a lot less deaths than New York with Andrew Cuomo. Um, and you could argue policy, or you could just argue that New York has a more metropolitan area, and people are a lot more densely packed together, especially in Manhattan. But obviously, Florida did have less deaths than New York. But obviously, no, I keep saying obviously, it has hurt the elderly population there, and maybe they would say, yeah, maybe Trump hasn't done the best job with the virus. Now, a lot of people obviously would disagree, but I feel like the elderly population would side with them more. Um, I don't know. I kept saying obviously, made myself crazy. Tilt Democrat. Colorado would still tilt Democrat. Trump would have to, I mean, do some crazy stuff. Maybe legalize marijuana across the country to get Colorado. Forgot Nebraska second congressional will also lean for Trump. Now, tilt Trump would be the entire Rust Belt. So I'm going to have Trump winning the election. Trump would win the Rust Belt. He'd win Arizona. He'd also win Nevada. You can get Native American vote out. Obviously, the economies are doing really good. The casinos were also doing really good in Nevada. So I think he could have gotten more support in Nevada. And I think he could have won that state. He only lost by around 2 points to Hillary Clinton. He'd also win New Hampshire, which he lost by 0.3%. So he would be gaining. And history tells us that incumbents usually gain electoral votes on their second term when being reelected. Uh, a few times when that didn't happen with actually Obama and George H.W. Bush and Jimmy Carter in the recent past. I wouldn't say Gerald Ford because he was never elected, but every other president did win more electoral votes than they did when they were first elected. You talk about Reagan, you talk about Clinton, you talk about um, George W. Bush, you look at Richard Nixon, even, and you can go that far back. But yeah, Trump is at 316 now. Did I have him? I have him winning Minnesota as well as a tilt state and Maine at large. So I have him winning pretty much the rest. I think that's the rest at least. That's 328 to 210. Trump doing a lot better than what would have happened if coronavirus did not happen or just didn't impact the United States the way it did. So clear victory for Trump, gaining electoral votes from his last election against Hillary Clinton. Um, and that's how I see this would happen. I'll change it all to one color so you can see this electoral map. This is if COVID never happened, um, and how I think Trump would have done. And those are all the Democrat states, so definitely not a lot or as much as you'd normally expect there to be. Because Donald Trump did have a strong economy, he did have incumbency, and a lot of people did think he was doing good, especially with his foreign policy with North Korea. I mean, some people would say nothing really came out of that, but he did open up conversations with them. Now, I mean, he did say he was aggressive against China, so that could help him with re-election. Also in the Middle East, recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of the Middle East, and this new deal with the UAE, that could help him with the foreign policy agenda and garnering support with that as well. And social policy, I mean, and this also happened with the protests or riots, whatever you want to call them. There was not really that much social unrest. I would say it was a lot more polarized, the country was, but not as much what am I saying? Social unrest. So that hurt Trump as well. And I'm basically doing this without the social unrest as well. Maybe he would have lost one of the Rust Belt states, but this is without COVID and the social unrest. I'm just going to call it without COVID because COVID is a major part of it. Anyway, 328 to 210. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I love making videos talking about the election and what ifs and what not ifs and how things will affect each candidate. So, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. 328 210. Have a nice